guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be talking about some books that I will be unhauling, aka getting rid of today. This is going to be a really quick video today because I don't plan on going into too much depth into each of these books. I'm just going to give you a brief reason on why I am choosing to get rid of these. And I don't have too many books today. I did go ahead and separate them into two piles of books that I have read and books that I did not read. So we'll go ahead and jump into the books that I did not read. So these are books that I have just had on my shelves for forever and have just decided that I'm never going to get to these. I don't even know why I ended up buying these. So I am just going to go ahead and get rid of them, and we will go ahead and get started with those. So the first one that we're going to get started with, and I am sad to get rid of this one. Well, not really sad, but I was like excited when I first got this one. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, I don't even know why I got this one. But that is going to be Midnight Sun by I almost said Marissa Meyer. Wrong Meyer. This is Stephanie Meyer. And I got this one because I was a Twilight fan back in the day. I still have all of my Twilight books. I will never get rid of those because I enjoyed them back in the day when I read them. But when this came out, I was excited to read it. But the longer it sits on my shelf, I am no longer interested. I do not care about reading this from Edward's point of view. Maybe if this was an entirely different story, but since this is the exact same story just from Edward's point of view, I don't care. I just want to remember Twilight as the original series from back when I read it. So I haven't heard too many good things about this anyways. So I'm just going to sell it back to my used bookstore, and hopefully somebody else will enjoy this because I know most likely I will not. So I am going to be getting rid of this one. The next one here is Roar by Cora Carmack. I have no idea what this one was about. I bought this obviously with the intentions of reading it, and I just never got around to it. And I think this was supposed to be a trilogy or something, but I'm never gonna read this. And I think this is like young adult, and I have nothing against young adult because I still read a lot of young adult, but this just is not something that I'm interested in anymore. So I'm going to be getting rid of this one. The next one I have is 172 Hours. 172 Hours on the Moon, excuse me, by Johann Harstad. And this is supposed to be, I believe, a young adult horror novel. And again, just something that I bought. I actually bought this one from the used bookstore years ago, and it's just been sitting on my shelf. And I'm always like, every time in October, I'm always like, I'm gonna read this one. And here we go again. October has came and went, and I've never picked this up. So this year, I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of it. I actually looked for this on audio this year, and I didn't find it on audio. So I was like, well, that was my chance. It wasn't meant for me to read it, so off it goes. The next one I'm going to be getting rid of is Broken Beautiful Hearts by Cami Garcia. This is also another young adult, maybe contemporary book. I feel like this one was popular a long time ago. Again, another one that has just been taking up space on my shelf. I just never got around to it. This was always one of those, oh, I'm going to get to this one. It has a pretty cover. I'll read it eventually. Nope, never got to it. So off this one goes. Now this next one is a different case. So this one is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. The only reason why I'm getting rid of this one is because I have a better looking cover for this one, and I still haven't read it, but I just bought a different cover. I actually show that to you. So I am getting rid of this cover because I have this edition of it instead, and I just fell in love with this one when I saw it. So I was like, ooh, I gotta have this one instead. So this one is getting sold. Then the next one that I have that I will be getting rid of is When a Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. And I still have not read this, and I haven't even watched the movie. And This was like one of those random, I'm bored, I don't have anything to do. And I think I bought this at the beginning of like the pandemic last year when I was clearly bored and didn't have anything to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy this book and I'm going to watch the movie and I'm going to do a review on both. And I never did it. Here we are, almost a whole year later. And this book has just been sitting on my shelf collecting dust. So I am going to give this one away, even though I have really good intentions for this one. But I am just unfortunately not interested in this one. So off it goes. And then the last one that I had on my shelf that I'm getting rid of that I just never got a chance to get to, that is going to be I Can't Make This Up, Life Lessons by Kevin Hart. And I'm still a Kevin Hart fan. I bought this one around the time this first came out. And I am not someone that reads like a lot of memoirs, but I thought I was interested in this. Again, this is just one of those books that have just been like sitting around collecting dust. I thought that I was going to be so excited to read this, but I just don't think that I will ever pick this up. Maybe, I'm pretty sure this probably has an audio. Maybe I'll listen to it on audio one day, but I just don't think that I'm going to need this book on my shelves. So again, don't need this. So these last few books that I have are going to be books that I have already read. So we're gonna again go through these pretty quickly. All of these books that I'm going to be talking about, I have actually at some point already talked about those on my channel in depth. So I will leave a link to those videos down below in my description bar if you would like to hear my full thoughts on these books. But we'll go ahead and jump into those. So the first one that I'll be getting rid of from the ones that I have already read is going to be These Violent Delights by Micah Nimmerever. And this is the book that I reviewed alongside with These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. And this one just follows these two guys in the early 1970s who both came from these broken homes, and they end up starting this friendship that turns into this relationship that turns violent, and you're just kind of following their relationship. I ended up rating this book a 2 stars. I thought it was really boring. I listened to it on audio. I did not like it. I did not care for it. Again, that video will be linked down below if you want my full thoughts. Did not care for this at all, and it was taking up a lot of space on my shelf because this book is thick. It kind of read like an old school, like those old Lifetime movies. I would have preferred to watch this than read it, if that makes sense. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, definitely getting rid of this one. So the next one that I will be getting rid of is The Last Final Girl by Stephen Graham Jones. And I actually just got done attempting to read this one because I actually DNF'd this one. And again, I will leave a link to the video of this one in my description bar because I read this one alongside 2 other books that deal with final girls, and I wish I could give you a good synopsis of this book, but I'm not even gonna try because I did not like anything about this book. It is less than 200 pages. I think I only got about 60 pages in. I didn't like anything about this book. I didn't like the way this book was written. And again, if you want my full thoughts about this, go ahead and watch that video, but I'm definitely getting rid of this one. And I don't even have anything else to say about it. The next one that I have that I will be getting rid of is The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. And I read this towards the end of the summer, I believe. And this is actually a newer release. It came out this summer. And I'm actually pretty upset that I'm getting rid of this one because I really wanted to like this one. I think I ended up only giving this one like 2 stars, but this one just follows our main character. He is someone that is able to see ghosts, and I just felt like this one had the potential to do so much more, but I feel like a lot was happening without a lot of explanation, and it just did not work for me. I tried to listen to it on audio at first, but I only felt like I got about 2% into the audiobook before I had to switch to the physical because I just didn't understand what was going on. So I switched to the physical, still didn't really understand a lot of what was happening, why a lot of the things that were happening, why things were happening the way that they were happening. I just wanted so much more from this, and I'm still really disappointed by this one, but because I didn't like it, there's just really no reason for me to keep it. So got to get rid of this one. And we only got 2 more to go. And the next one that I will be getting rid of is Baby Teeth by Zoe Stage, I believe is how you pronounce her name. And again, I did a video on this one where I kind of compared this one to another book that was similar to it that one was called The Push. And this one follows a mother who is not able to connect with her daughter. And this is supposed to be like a adult like horror novel. And this, again, is one of those books that had a lot of potential, and it kind of went there, but I just feel like this author didn't take it as far as she could have. And I think I rated this one a 2 stars as well. And I just felt like for this to be considered a horror, I did a lot of laughing at this book. And that's not what I want from a horror book. And it just didn't do it for me. So there's no reason for me to keep it. So I'm getting rid of it. And then the last one is, I think, a YouTube darling, and I hate to get rid of this one, and I actually would have been getting rid of the entire series, but I gave the other 2 books in the series to a friend. He hasn't started it yet, but I figured if he ends up liking the first one, then he'll at least have the other 2 books in the series, and that is going to be Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I did not like this book. I think I got about 130 pages into it. I just did not connect with it. Reading this book felt like a chore. I just felt like I wasn't connecting to the characters. It just felt like reading like 10 pages of this book felt like I had just finished like 50. I don't know why. It just felt like everything was just taking forever in the story. I just wasn't connecting with anything. And I really, 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 really wanted to like this because everybody you talk to just loves the series. And for whatever reason, this just was not doing it for me. I can't even explain to you what this is about. So I'm not even going to try to do that. Again, I did a somewhat review of this book in a video in my 1 chip challenge where I almost died eating a really hot chip while trying to discuss this book. So if you want to check that video out, feel free to do so. I will again have that linked in my description bar. So like I said, I will be getting rid of that. And I did have the other 2 books, but again, I gave those 2 books to a friend. So that is going to be all of the books that I will be unhauling this time. I don't do unhauls as much as I used to before I started my channel because I used to unhaul books quite frequently. But now that I'm trying to like hold on to them so that I can kind of share with you guys what books I'm unhauling, I won't be doing them as often just so that I can, you know, have a group to save to share. So it'll be a while again before I do another one of these. So that is actually all that I have for you guys. So I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.